You can strengthen these connections or you can weaken these connections. When you use your brain, you strengthen these connections. The more you learn, the more you read, the more you exercise, you enhance communication. If you, on the other hand, take drugs of abuse, if you're under a lot of stress, that will weaken these connections. Stress releases stress hormones. Stress hormones, and we'll take a look at this when we look at depression later on. Stress hormones such as cortisol has a negative effect on the ability of cells in the brain to communicate. So that is a really, really important point. So throughout our life, we're going to change, we do change our nervous system from the time we're born to the time we die. And you might ask the question, well, how come I'm not affected the same way as this other person? Realizing you'll figure it out, and the more we know. So we all are who we are, right? We're unique. Go to 23andMe or get your look at your genetic makeup. We all have our set of genes, and that makes us unique. Although we're all humans, we don't look the same, right? Somebody has blonde hair, somebody has red hair, somebody has whatever. It's because everybody has a unique genetic makeup. You will find out everything in life, you take this genetic makeup, you superimpose upon that your environment. Some people do not live in a stressful environment. Some people do live in a stressful environment. So now you have the interaction between environment and your genetic makeup, and that affects neurons in the brain. So, as I mentioned before, most neurons are formed early in development, but some are generated throughout life. So I mentioned before the idea of neurogenesis. Neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons, right? That's what development is all about. We know in the adult brain, and we'll take a look at it, that a couple of regions in the brain, we have progenitor or stem cells. You all heard of stem cells, right? So these are cells that can grow into any kind of cell, either a glial cell or a neuron, depending upon its environment, all right? And if we have a healthy environment, if we exercise our brain, we have a healthy environment, then we can promote the growth of these neurons in the adult brain. But if we don't have a healthy environment, then we don't. So hormones and experience regulate the growth of these new neurons. We've already mentioned use it or lose it. We already talked about injury can harm neurons, stress can harm neurons, but we can recover if we know how. That's plasticity. The brain is probably the most plastic organ that we have. You know, people have a stroke, right? And let's say they have a hemiparalysis on one side of their body. What do? They go to physical therapy. And now they learn to use a part of their brain to control their movement that they never used before. So that's what's meant by plasticity.